everybody, and welcome to this FIFA World Cup 2018 prediction video. Thought it might be some good fun to kind of like predict some of the outcomes of the groups and obviously the other matches going through for the upcoming World Cup, which is literally like what, tomorrow. It's crazy how quick it's come about. It really is. I just think like there's a little bit of time from the end of the season to the World Cup, but it really was like what, a couple of weeks if that. Had some friendlies. I'm going to chat about the teams who I think's got a good chance, who the dark horses could be, and I guess most importantly how England are going to do. That's the one I guess which I'm most interested in a way. So yeah, if you don't know, the World Cup starts on Thursday the 14th with Saudi Arabia, Russia versus Saudi Arabia. It's always tradition that the home nation goes first. In all honesty, that is probably the worst opening match to any World Cup ever. But on the plus side, you can only get better after that. Both are the lowest ranked teams in the competition. I think a lot of people underestimate how bad Russia are right now. But let's play this match and kind of have a look. So we need to slide to predict who's going to go through first and second to qualify in this group. So Group A is Russia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Uruguay. For me, the standout team in here is Uruguay. Without doubt, you've got Suarez and Cavani up front. That's pretty darn potent. They've got some decent players, especially in defence. I think they've got Godin, the Atletico Madrid defender. They've got a pretty decent midfield as well. They've kind of like, they went through a really bad spell, then they kind of revamped, and they've looked really good since then. Some people have even tipped them to get as far as like the semi-finals of the tournament. If Suarez can, resist the urge to either handle it on the line or bite someone, then you never know. Actually be okay. So as I was saying, Russia, Saudi Arabia kick off. Russia and Saudi Arabia are the two lowest ranked teams in the competition. I think the problem Russia's had is that I don't think they have bad players, but I think the national team is a bit of a mess. The coach is a bit of a mess. The team have not competitive match for a while because obviously the hosts don't have to qualify; they just go through. And Saudi Arabia are just Saudi Arabia, just not that high quality players really. Not the worst teams in the world, but I expect them to both go out in the group stages. Uruguay would be first for me, as I said, very strong side. Uruguay. Egypt second. Everybody's making a big thing out of Mo Salah. He's likely to be injured for the first game, which is against Uruguay, so that's not good. But he could make a difference in those two against Russia and Saudi Arabia. Like, I would expect Egypt to lose to Uruguay and beat Russia, Saudi Arabia, and I expect Uruguay to win all three of those games, probably fairly comfortably. Maybe the Egypt one could be a bit of a test. Egypt are by no means a bad side. They're probably the best African side in the Cup. But I think a lot of that relies on Mo Salah, and if he can continue that form through, I mean, let's be honest here, he's not playing with the same calibre as players in the Egypt side as he is with Liverpool. He's not playing in the same swashbuckling way as he is at Liverpool. He hasn't got someone like Firmino or Mane up there with him. So you can, if you put Lionel Messi in the Egypt side, how well would he do? If that makes sense. I'm not saying that Egypt are rubbish. They're not. They're just not the super high quality side and players that he's probably used to. So I think Egypt get out of the group, and I think that would be a really good for them to do that. I think Russia and Saudi Arabia will go out with not very good results, I guess. Group B sees Portugal, Spain, Morocco and Iran. Now I think everyone would expect Portugal and Spain to go through. I'm certainly no different. Spain first, Portugal second. I don't think Morocco are a bad side at all. From what I understand, they conceded very few goals in qualifying, if at all. I think I heard they maybe didn't concede any. They're quite a defensive side though, who like to counter, which can play into their advantage. If they could get a draw against Spain and Portugal and beat Iran, that could see them go through. That's kind of crazy, but it would have Iran being able to get and take points away from Spain and Portugal, which I don't know if that's possible. I mean, I think Iran is a real kind of football country. They do enjoy their football there, but as with any country that doesn't have maybe the facilities or the training or the coaching that you get in the bigger countries, you're always going to struggle to bring through that kind of talent. So, I think Spain and Portugal are those two. I can see Spain going through. I don't think Spain are quite as strong as they have been in previous World Cups. That kind of golden generation of players is, it's not that it's not there. They are very good. It's just they're not as disciplined, and they don't have that same way of playing as they used to have. The tiki-taka football. Still got some very good players, obviously. The centre backs, PK, Ramos. You'd argue there's not a better centre back pairing in the competition. You have some very good midfielders. And up front you have Diego Costa, who we all know what Diego Costa is capable of if he's on his day. Portugal have Cristiano Ronaldo, arguably one of the best players in the world. Just a goal machine, a guy who knows how to score. The Portuguese Harry Kane, if you like. They have some good players, but no real superstars apart from Cristiano, really. Some decent players, João Mourinho and players like that. But yeah, I think qualifying from the group is good for them. You never know, but if Cristiano Ronaldo is on form in every game and really pushing them, then they'll be a force to be reckoned with. But again, the Ronaldo thing is a case of, he's not playing with Real Madrid players, so how far can he push them? If if his team is getting pushed back and they're defensive, he's not the same player who could take the ball from the halfway line and run up the pitch. So I can see Spain, Portugal going through, Morocco and Iran going home in the group stages. Group C, we have France, Australia, Peru and Denmark. Now, France obviously are favourites in this group, and I can see them winning the group. They have a tendency in the past to self-destruct. However, I believe, and all the reports I've heard, is that the group they have is a lot more settled. When you look at some of the players they have, Griezmann, Pogba, they're just phenomenal. Varane at the back. Their goalkeepers are fantastic. They've got Lloris, real strength in depth in their side. A lot of people aren't really tipping them to win. I guess because in the past they've kind of melted. I don't think Didier Deschamps is the best manager for. I don't think he's quite unlocked the potential of that team. When you think about some of the players they've got, it's crazy. And they left some pretty decent ones at home as well. So you would have to expect them to go through in this group. I think it's actually a lot tougher group than people realise. Peru are under the radar, but very, very, very good. And they just found out that their captain, Paulo Guerrero, he was banned for the World Cup. It was a very unfortunate case of him, I think, getting some medicine. It had a banned substance, and it's like FIFA banned him for 2 years or something. But then it got rescinded because I think it was quite clear that he had no idea, and it was a very small amount that he had. So I think they're also on their longest unbeaten run they've ever had, or something like that. And they're looking really good. They're looking very, very solid. Peru. So for me, Australia are definitely the weakest side in there. Australia are full of grit and determination. Typically a dogged side. but I think they lack any real quality. I think they'll be happy if they can just get a result against one of these teams, basically. Denmark, again, full of quality. Players like Christian Eriksen. I think they're not quite there yet. I think they have quite a decent young team, and I think there's a good few players coming through, but I don't think they'll have enough. I'm actually weirdly going to predict France and Peru to go through. I think Peru are just on a real roll, and I think they've been playing really well, and I can see them getting a result against Denmark and Australia. Probably not France, but we'll see. We got Group D now. So we've got Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, Nigeria. For those who don't know the way the World Cup works, you have these groups. The top 2 teams go through. They each play each other once, and then if people are on the same points, it comes out of goal difference, goals scored, things like that. So Argentina, Iceland, Croatia, Nigeria. So Argentina, I mean, you have to go with them to qualify first. Not only do they have one of the best players in the world in Leo Messi, they have a phenomenal attacking lineup. Players like Di Maria, Dybala, Icardi, just like Higuain, Messi, obviously. Just an absolute tour de force of attacking players. The problem is they don't really have it at the back. Their defence is not good. It's pretty average. Goalkeeper as well, and that's going to count against them when they get to the later stages. I think they should have enough to just blitz Iceland, Croatia, and Nigeria. They might end up conceding a couple, but I think they'll score. With those players, even if one of them isn't informed, they can just bring in another. It's a phenomenal lineup they've got. They've always, there's a lot of pressure on him this year because of Messi, and people saying that he needs to win the World Cup to prove he's the greatest. It's an utter load of rubbish. Football's a team game. He can't win a World Cup on his own. But I think also there are some kind of like bad memories of them in a way kind of bottling it in the final last year. I don't think they played well up to then. I think they would have loved to have won it in Brazil, but definitely got them down to go first. That leaves Iceland, Croatia and Nigeria. Now that's a really tough lineup, but Iceland, we've seen what they can do. Don't need to remind me. Especially against England. Don't think they're as good as that side. There's Gylfi Sigurdsson as their best player, is likely to be injured for at least the first game. And I'd be surprised if lightning struck twice for them, but I think they will do well. I think they're a very well drilled side, and I think they have a real quality about them. So yeah, I think they'll do all right. Croatia, we know players like Luka Modric, Kalinic, players like that. They're decent, not as good as some kind of classic Croatian sides, but really decent. And then Nigeria, we saw them against England in the second half. They looked pretty good. Iwobi scoring, and he looks decent. Iniacho, they've got some good players. Again, I think their defence and certainly their goalkeeper in that game was their weakness. I've got to go, I think, Croatia. I think as an all-round package, they're better than Iceland and Nigeria, but honestly, that could go any way of those three, in my opinion. It's a tough group, I think, a tough group. Speaking of tough groups, I don't think this one's easy either. Brazil, the thing about Brazil is I think they are the favourites. All the kind of bets I've seen are that they are the favourite. They have a fantastic lineup, obviously Neymar leading the line. Coutinho, their defence is looking pretty solid. They have a really good goalkeeper in Alisson from Roma. That's always been a bit of a downfall of Brazil in the past. They have a bit of steel in midfield, like Fernandinho has played well. Their manager seems to be getting the most out of the players, and they have a real good kind of style to them. So they're definitely worthy favourites. My wonder is how much is that what happened in Brazil going to affect them either way. It could spur them on to kind of right that wrong. That 7-1 defeat to Germany in the semi-finals was brutal, absolutely brutal. they be able to recover? You know, will that spur them on even? I think they'll win this group. But who comes second? So Switzerland. Switzerland are not the worst side in the world. They're always one of those sides which kind of goes on the radar. They've got some very good players like Shaqiri, Granit Xhaka, you know, players like that. Premier League players. Admittedly, not been in the best form this season for them, but they're a solid side. You know, Costa Rica, I think, are last. Like they were poor against England. They got thrashed by Belgium after that. I can't see them picking up a point at this World Cup. They did really well. Was it, yeah, the last one? I think like that they were kind of really buoyed on. That was the first time they qualified for a while, and yeah, I don't think they're the worst team in the tournament by a long way, but I think in this group they're the worst team. So that leaves Serbia. I think Serbia are actually pretty decent. I would be cheering on Serbia because it's got like the only Crystal Palace player in them, which is Milicevic, the midfielder. He's a very good player. But yeah, you know, they have some real kind of decent, real solid players, I think, in Serbia, and they could be like a dark horse coming through, you know, so I'll predict them to be second. Switzerland and Costa Rica going out. Group F. I mean, let's just move Germany across first off because God knows they'll qualify. The thing about Germany is, the scary thing about Germany is, in the past they when they've done really well in World Cups, they've always had a slightly not that great striker. So they've sometimes struggled, and in fact they've been playing Thomas Müller most of the time up front. Now they have Timo Werner, who's a really good player up front, and I wonder how that will help them. Admittedly, they're missing some of the stars of the past. You know, stars of the last World Cup retired, but they've still got enough quality, I think, in players like Toni Kroos in midfield. You know, pulling the strings, absolutely, you know, solid defence. The goalkeeper Neuer, so he's barely played all season, but from what I know, he's fit. I just wonder how much that will affect him. I don't think they'll have a problem getting out of this group. Like Mexico, on paper, you look at Mexico and you think, oh, they're okay actually, but then I don't know why they just don't seem to really kind of like get that momentum going. Javier Hernandez, we know, can be a really good player, but he's had a poor season in all honesty with West Ham. West Ham have had a poor season, to be fair, so it's not necessarily his fault. Maybe he'll be better off at the World Cup, but we'll see. Sweden, again, without Ibrahimovic. How good are Sweden? I would say solid. And South Korea, some very good players like Son at Tottenham, but overall not as strong as, you know, in the past, especially when they made the semis, I think, with Gus Hiddink, I think it was. Again, it's a toss-up for me. About, you know, second place is up for grabs there. I'm gonna go with Mexico because I think on paper they're the strongest, but again, it could be either one of them. Now we have Group G, the one which I'm most interested in, and I guess a lot of the people watching this video are most interested in because we have England. Good old England. Let's talk about England for a second. So everybody knows that in past World Cups, past European Championships, we've done poorly. We've had a succession of what looked to be very good teams ultimately failed to live up to that expectation. We have it a little bit reversed this year. We have a very like average team-ish, but there seems to be more kind of I guess hope in a way this year because of that. So my opinion of England is that they never do well when they're favourites. They like being the young underdogs. I don't know why, it's a pressure thing probably. And let's face it, if they get out of the group, they're going to be underdogs in most of the matches they're going to play from there. It's definitely from the quarterfinals anyway. So how is that going to affect them? You know, actually on paper have an okay team. Certainly Harry Kane up front is one of the best strikers in the tournament because he's one of the best in the world. We have Raheem Sterling, who's been on fire this season. Like, he's been really good. He's looked really good as well in the qualifiers. You know, I thought he looked very good against Nigeria, sorry. Especially that first half, he looked really dangerous. And then you see a player like Marcus Rashford playing so well against Costa Rica, and it suddenly starts giving you hope again. You know, players like Jesse Lingard have had good form, Dele Alli, who we know has got quality, Jordan Henderson, Eric Dyer, who are very, very solid players. Wing backs look really good. I thought Danny Rose looked really good, as did Ashley Young. So there's options. Trippier looked great. Yeah, I think it's good. You know, even like Fabian Delph came in and played a part in those friendlies and actually looked really solid and composed. Without a doubt, the Man City effect has improved him and Sterling, without a doubt. And yeah, I think Gareth Southgate's got a selection headache, but the one thing I think that's the biggest positive is the way we're playing, the sort of like 3-4-3 or 3-5-2 kind of with wing backs is it's working for England. You know, it probably helps that a lot of the Premier League sides have adopted that kind of way of playing. It's the new kind of fashionable 4-5-1, if you like, and you know, England a lot better with it. We look like we're able to actually retain possession a little bit better. We don't have the greatest players on the ball in the competition. Certainly not defenders. We have some decent ones. I think Stones is pretty good on the balls. Walker's okay. Maguire's alright. But a lot of the others are a little bit weaker. But we do look good, and you know, with Harry Kane up front, we look like we can score a goal or two, and that helps. You know, I think Harry Kane's our best striker we've taken in the best form that we've taken in a long time. You know, in the past we've had Wayne Rooney, and frankly he's always disappointed at tournaments apart from that first one he was at. Other than that, I think he's always been a bit of a letdown and never quite performed on the stage, you know, on the big stage. And we never really had anybody who was good enough behind him. You know, now we have Harry Kane, we have the potential of Jamie Vardy, who is decent, you know, very decent. We have Marcus Rashford, who's looking pretty good as well. So there's a lot of options up front, and that's reassuring. There's options in midfield, you know, to kind of play different players. In the past, I think we've been so reliant on players like Gerrard and Lampard, and when one of them's gone, we've just been like, oh, yeah, that's nothing. Potentially the area we are lacking in is a little bit of creativity in midfield. You have players like Dele Alli, who's a little bit more of a kind of box-to-box player, like he likes to get in the box and finish things. He is capable of a good pass or two, but you know, not to the same extent as some players we've had in the past there. And then other ones, if you look at like Dyer, Delph, Henderson, again, they're accomplished passers, but they're not really perhaps got that vision or creativity that a top team kind of playmaker would have. You know, someone in the Brazilian side, or like France, or even Germany. You know, with like Cruz or someone like that. So that's probably our weakness, and I don't think our central defence is quite as strong. And I think the goalkeeper situation is okay. I think we've not quite got a goalkeeper yet. Who I think one of the problems in having it's a little bit of a coin toss between Butland and Pickford. It looks like it's going to be Pickford because he's a bit better with his feet. But to not have a really like established goalkeeper who's played for a while as England #1, it's going to be their first tournament, and or you know, first tournament Pickford, you know, playing as #1, and that's going to be interesting. You've got Pope in as the third goalkeeper. I think it was a brave decision by Southgate to not take Joe Hart. I don't think Joe Hart should be near the England goalkeeper shirt, but there's an argument to be said for that experience there. You know, of someone who's been there, done that. Of course, that experience is of losing and ultimately disappointing. So the argument is, you know, maybe we need just some fresh young players to come in. And we have one of the youngest squads in the tournament. I think it might be the third youngest. We also have the only squad which has every single player in the squad who plays in England. So our players don't like travelling abroad, so that always, doesn't really help us very much. But I think in England, for England in general, the future is bright. We've got a very young squad coming through here. We've got some. We won the Under-20 World Cup, and there's some fantastic players coming through there. The argument was that maybe you should have taken some of them, but I think we've got a decent chance of making the quarterfinals. I think we qualify in this group. I think we beat Panama, okay, and I think we can beat Tunisia. Tunisia is going to be a tough one. They're a very solid defensive side, and if we get 6 points there, then we're probably through. Play those two games first, and then we play Belgium. That Belgian game, I think, will set the tone of what happens. I mean, the argument there could be that if Belgium and England both got 6 points, do they rest players? Do we see them really go over each other, or are they going to concentrate on the group stage? We'll have to wait and see. Do I think England can beat Belgium? Yes, I think they can beat Belgium. I'll tell you why. Because Roberto Martinez is the Belgian manager, and I don't rate him personally. I think on paper Belgium are a far superior team to England in nearly every department. Goalkeeper, defence, midfield, attack. You look at it, there's real quality. The only player I would say is better is I'd take Harry Kane over Lukaku. Other than that, I think when you look at players like Eden Hazard, Company at the back, you've got Courtois in goal. There's real quality in that Belgium side. Again, I don't think Roberto Martinez was the right choice for them. I can't understand why they employed him. They surely must have had to pick managers, but they went with him. They did. So the question is now, okay, if Belgium and England go through, who wins? Who comes second? For me, it's a coin toss. I think on paper you see Belgium go through first and beating England, who comes second. So let's go with that. Next up, we have the weakest group, in my opinion, on here. Poland, Senegal, Colombia, Japan, all pretty average teams. Colombia are not what they were at the last World Cup. I don't see James Rodriguez or James Rodriguez having as good a World Cup as he did last time. He won the Golden Boot. He's not shown in his club form anywhere near that sort of form, and we'll see what comes. Sometimes the World Cup does funny things to players. Having said that, I don't think Senegal are a great side. They have some individual players who are pretty good. Mane mostly, actually, to be fair, who's obviously a very good player, but he's not going to win them games on his own. And Japan are just Japan, aren't they, really? They always seem to make it to the World Cup, but they never really do very much when they're there, unfortunately. I'd love to see them do well. They have some good players, but again, it's not really, they never really show it. So, I mean, Poland obviously have Lewandowski, and they have a pretty solid rest of the team, but it's pretty much Lewandowski. The argument with him is that he is looking for a club, kind of, like there is a lot of room. He's going to leave Bayern Munich, and they're ready to let him go. I think he's about 30, so this could be his last big move. So if he has a good World Cup, that puts his value up. So I'm going to go with Colombia first, Poland second. I don't think that's set in stone, I think that could go around. I'd expect Senegal to be the weakest side with Japan, but you never know. Okay, so that leaves us with this as the round of 16. So we go round of 16, quarterfinal, semi-final, winners. The one thing it doesn't predict in this, by the way, because I've done it before, is the third place playoff, but no one really gives a shit about that, do they? Okay, so Uruguay versus Portugal. That's a tough match. You don't underestimate the Cristiano Ronaldo effect, but also don't underestimate the Luis Suarez effect, with the Edison Cavani effect. Very good. I see Uruguay there. I've spoken about Uruguay. I think they're good enough to beat Portugal. I think Portugal go out in the last 16. I don't think Portugal bad side. I just think Uruguay are just better. I think, we don't know about injuries like that. Suarez could have, eaten someone's finger by this stage and, not play or whatever, but I'm looking at this from a full strength side. I see Uruguay go through ahead of Portugal. France versus Croatia. Well, I kind of had Croatia as sneaking through and France as, comfortable winners in their group, so I'd have to go France there. Again, I think France have got enough depth that they could lose a big player and still go through, but I also think that they could have a complete and utter catastrophic breakdown before this, and I don't think Didier Deschamps is a very good manager, but I would put France to go through. Brazil, Mexico. I mean, I have to go Brazil. Again, I don't think Mexico are good enough to beat Brazil. I think Brazil could do that. Again, there's those shadows of, their home World Cup 4 years ago to overcome, and it will be a test of the team to see how well they do, especially if they face Germany at any point, which they could well do. So I say Brazil. Next up, Belgium, Poland. It's got to be Belgium, hasn't it? We've spoken about some of their players. I have a funny feeling that Hazard's going to turn up for this World Cup because I think he wants out at Chelsea. I think he wants to move to Real Madrid, and I think Real Madrid, funnily enough, would want him to have a big World Cup because then he looks better when he comes to them, even if they have to pay more. I think that's the way Real Madrid just work. So I think if he has a good World Cup, I think he perhaps goes to Real Madrid. Although, admittedly, Zinedine Zidane was a big fan of his, and that was part of the links because Hazard idolised Zidane, and now Zidane has obviously left Real Madrid. So it will be interesting to see who Real Madrid get in, because it could be someone who just doesn't fancy Hazard, so that could be out of the picture. But I guess we'll see. Anyway, Belgium to win that. Spain against Egypt. So, we talked about the Salah effect. I would imagine him to be playing in this match and not be injured. I think Spain have just got too much for Egypt, in all honesty. They could probably again afford to lose a couple of players, Spain. Maybe not Costa. I think he's quite a focal point for them, but yeah. I see Egypt losing there. I think Egypt done well to get to the last 16 though. Argentina versus Peru. As I said, Peru for me could be the dark horses. I could see them go through against Argentina, weirdly, because Argentina are just that sort of side where the weight of expectation on them could really weigh heavy at this point. I think though they would have enough to beat Peru at this stage. Provided they haven't lost like Messi, or even if they lost Messi, there's still so many players. Icardi, Dybala, Higuain. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? So yeah, I think even though Peru, for me, would do very well to get to the round of 16 and have done well, I see Argentina going through. Germany against Serbia. I mean, I bloody hope Serbia beat Germany if it comes to this. But they won't, will they? Because it's flipping Germany. I see Germany winning. I don't think Germany are as strong as the last World Cup, but I think they're stronger than Serbia. England, Colombia. I think England, I honestly think England on paper are better than Colombia. And I think England have beaten Colombia in the past in World Cups, and I think we can do it again. I think Colombia are the team they were. They've still got like Falcao up front, but he's getting on a bit. And as I said, Rodriguez, I think he's going to come alive at this World Cup, or he's going to kind of flatter to deceive a little bit. So I think England win that. So the quarterfinals are up next. We've got Uruguay versus France. Man, these are getting tough, aren't they? I've said I think Uruguay are a really good side. I think France sneak this, personally. I think on paper France look really good. They've been a little bit shaky. I mean, it's difficult to predict at this stage because obviously you don't know what's happened in previous matches. It could have been that Uruguay are stomping and France have been really, really iffy. But I think when I look at that from a logical point of view, I see France going through there. I see Brazil beating Belgium. I think Belgium are good, but I think ultimately Brazil are a more together team at this stage. They've looked much better than Belgium in the friendlies that I've seen and the qualifiers, and yeah, I think that's as far as Belgium come. But once you get to the quarterfinals, anything can literally happen. Spain, Argentina, man, ooh, that is a big one. That is a big one, isn't it? Spain, Argentina. Go with that. I mean, I've spoken about Argentina's defence, but Spain be the team to unlock that. You know, can Argentina maybe might not see as much of the ball as Spain in that match, but they could counter-attack very effectively, and they've got Messi. I think I go Argentina. You might think I'm crazy. Spain are a very good side. You know, got PK Ramos at the back, De Herringa. Actually, I've actually changed my mind thinking about that. Shit, I can't change my mind. Oh no, I can. Spain to win. Yeah, I think their defence could shackle Argentina's. Germany v England. God, the match every Englishman hates, unless it's in a qualifier, because then we seem to do okay. I mean, you can't look past Germany. It will go to penalties, and Germany will beat England. We all know that's what's going to fucking happen. So, yeah. I mean, I'd love it on my heart to be able to confidently say England would win that match, but I can't. So then we have France, Spain, Brazil, Germany in the semi-finals. France v Brazil, Spain versus Germany. I go Brazil over France. Brazil over France for me. I think Brazil are just looking good. And then the question is Spain against Germany. That's a big match. It's a big, big match. I'm going Spain. Oh, this is a tough one. And then we have the World Cup final, Brazil versus Spain. Who do we think goes through here? I wish it was Brazil-Germany now, you know. That would be so good. I actually really hope it's a Brazil-Germany final. Obviously if England or Serbia don't make it, which they won't, I hope it's Brazil-Germany because that would be phenomenal. Brazil versus Spain. I'm gonna give it to Brazil, I think. I really think they look a solid team. I think Spain are good, but I think Brazil will win this World Cup. That's where I've come from. I mean, you'd be a fool not to bet on Germany to win a World Cup, to be honest, because they usually do. But I think there's something about this Brazil side that looks good. Now they could go crashing out the group stage because it's all just become too much for them. But I think probably being away from Brazil or South America, probably not having too many fans turn up might weirdly do them a favour because they might be able to play with a little less pressure. And I think Neymar is going to step it up. I don't think that... I've got a lot of opinions on Neymar, you guys know that, but one opinion I do have is that he is a very good player. And, you know, when he's surrounded by his Brazilian teammates, he plays even better. So, I think Brazil win. I think Spain are great. Really good side, but I'm going Brazil. There we go. Brazil, the World Cup winners. Gabriel Jesus, Marcelo, yeah, Willian is that next to Neymar, perhaps. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, my prediction for the World Cup. I hope you enjoy the World Cup. I'm definitely going to be recording some videos on it, just my thoughts about matches and stuff that happens. Probably not like a video a day or something, maybe a video every other day, something like that. Just a short kind of chat about things. But yeah, it's been so busy with E3 and then this. It's crazy, you know. Absolutely crazy these few weeks, and I'm sure I'll be bored by the time we get to, you know, the end of July. But till then, you know, we have a feast of football. Enjoy the World Cup. You know, if your team is there, good luck. If your team isn't there, still good luck for whoever you're choosing. suggest following England though. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.